Now, word on the street is that they're looking to target Caitlin Clark. We got some tweets to go over, but what's first is we got a bit of negotiations for the WNBA actually signing to this Saudi-backed.
Okay, so this is absolutely wild. The Saudi-backed league just made their first major move. What nobody's talking about is how this could literally destroy the WNBA as we know it. We're talking about unlimited money. Like no budget, no salary cap, just pure endless cash targeting the biggest names in women's basketball. And the craziest part, the WNBA might have just helped them do it. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why Caitlin Clark might be looking at a check that makes her Nike deal look like pocket change. But first, let me show you what just broke the internet yesterday.
Now, we're going to talk about this story right here because this story caught national attention. Then we're going to get into this whole connection between Caitlin Clark. Now, it goes on to say, with CBA talks, Simran Agumomike signs a new Project B deal, man. Former WNBA MVP, sorry, Sinead's her sister, Anika Agumomike has signed a contract with Project B, the first player who is known to have joined the latest professional women's basketball league ahead of the 2026 season.
Did you catch that? A former MVP just signed with Project B, the Saudi league, while the WNBA is literally in the middle of negotiating their collective bargaining agreement. That's like your star employee signing with your competitor while you're discussing their raise. The timing here is insane, but here's what makes this even more explosive. We're not talking about disclosed salaries. Everything's hidden, no numbers, no transparency, just whispers of life-changing money. And when you're dealing with Saudi money, that could mean anything. Check out what the details actually reveal.
Agumomike, like other players in this league, will get undisclosed. Guys, the money is undisclosed. And an equity stake in the league. Project B officials have said the 66 players who they want for the league. The format calls for 6 teams for 11 women each will receive larger salaries than those currently of the WNBA. And my guess will be, oh, they're giving them $1 million. See, when your majesties, yes, your majesties, get involved, he has unlimited funds.
So let me break down what's actually happening here, because this is where it gets fascinating. Project B wants 66 players total, 16 teams, 11 women each, and every single one of them gets paid more than the WNBA maximum salary. But here's the psychology at play. They're not just offering money, they're offering equity stakes in the league itself. That's ownership. That's generational wealth. The WNBA can't compete with that, because they're still arguing over revenue sharing percentages. Meanwhile, the Saudis are literally handing out pieces of the entire operation. You know what that does to a negotiation? It obliterates it. Now, watch how the money conversation actually went down.
On the salary to blow this thing up. Ding, 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 ding. John the Liquidator is available for interview. Hey, I'm available, your majesties. If you need me for anything, I ain't lying. If you need me to make 100 videos a day about Project B, I am here at your disposal, your majesties. Just cut the check. That's how I'm feeling. That's how I'm feeling. Because they got an undisclosed amount of money, and y'all think they ain't. Bro, Caitlin Clark is the biggest name in all of women's sports. Now, do I think she gonna get 100 mil? No. But do I think she can get 50? No. Do I think she can get 10?
The money was too key to her decision. That's the quote. And you gotta understand what that really means. This isn't about getting paid fairly or getting what you're worth. This is about getting offered so much money that walking away would be financially irresponsible. The Saudis have done this before. Liv Golf signed players to deals worth hundreds of millions. Cristiano Ronaldo got a contract that's basically a small country's GDP. They don't negotiate, they overwhelm. And here's what nobody's connecting yet. This league runs from November to April. That's the WNBA offseason. So technically, players could do both. But what happens when the Saudi league says we want exclusivity? What happens when they start adding zeros until players have to choose? That's when everything implodes.
We need a champion around this. We need to blow this up. We need to blow this up. April to November. This is going to be the biggest thing. Smoking. They cutting the checks, bruh. Now, that would not interfere with the WNBA season, but it's going to put the WNBA out of business. And to me, I think it might, man, they're not going to have an off season probably, guys, because the WNBA started in May. Now, if your team don't make it to the playoffs, then you'll have a little off season. I think it might conflict with players being able to recover and stuff like that.
Okay, so now we're getting to the nuclear option. Project B could end the WNBA with literally one move: sign Caitlin Clark with an exclusivity clause. And before you think that's impossible, let me show you the numbers that are actually being thrown around. We're talking about a league where exhibition games paid $6 million, where signing bonuses hit $400 million, where there is no ceiling because the funding comes from sovereign wealth, literal government money from one of the richest nations on earth. The question isn't will they offer Caitlin money. The question is how much money would it take to make her say yes. And here's where the psychology gets really interesting.
They ain't, bro. Caitlin Clark is the biggest name in all of women's sports. Now, do I think she gonna get 100 mil? No. But do I think she can get 50? No. Do I think she can get 10 to 20? Yes. Oh, hell yes. They gonna get, because we gotta realize this. When it comes to Caitlin, her stock kind of went down a little bit. We all could agree on that. Hell, if you can't see Caitlin Clark's stock that went down, you lying to yourself. Now, had this been last year or the year before, do I believe Caitlin would got upwards 50 to 100 million? Yes. She definitely would have got 50 to 100 million. Right now, about 10, 20.
Notice how he's analyzing her stock value? That's critical, because Caitlin's market position has shifted. The hype cycle from college has cooled slightly. The rookie season drama, the physicality controversies, the media exhaustion, all of that impacts negotiating leverage. But here's the twist nobody's considering. That might actually make her more likely to take a Saudi deal. When your stock dips in one market, you look for validation in another. And the Saudis aren't buying based on current value. They're buying based on global recognition and marketing potential. Caitlin Clark is still the most recognizable name in women's basketball worldwide. That's worth more than performance metrics. So when people say she won't get 100 million, they're thinking like the WNBA thinks. The Saudis don't think that way.
With probably some interest or some finagle, later on. But we're going to get into Caitlin later. We got to talk about this. It says, why the financial specifics haven't been disclosed of the Pacific money amount, but the more lucrative compensation comes in an important moment for women's professional basketball, as the interest in the sport has soared in recent years. The WNBA and players' unions are locked in intense negotiation. Now, we do know that they received a 30-day extension from Kathy over the collective bargaining agreement, and much despite centered on salary and revenue sharing. Now, in an interview with the Associated Press, the 35-year-old Aguma Mike said that the compensation package was the key to her signing. Guys, she said the money was the key. I bet you they gave her back.
10 to 20 million. That's the realistic projection. But let's dig into why that number is actually devastating for the WNBA. The current max salary in the WNBA is around $240,000. Project B is potentially offering 80 times that amount. You cannot compete with that gap. You can't negotiate around it. You can't offer equity or exposure or legacy that bridges that canyon. And here's what makes this even more complicated. The WNBA just extended their CBA negotiations because they can't agree on revenue sharing. Meanwhile, Project B is literally printing contracts. The contrast is brutal. One league is fighting over percentages of limited revenue. The other is backed by a government with a GDP over $1 trillion. This isn't a competition. It's a hostile takeover dressed up as a league launch.
Your Majesty's gonna give her the bag up front. Hey, you know what? Bro, y'all ain't see Lil Wayne when he said that, bro, he had trouble at the airport and Your Majesty said, you know what? I am sorry. This is ridiculous. What color Lamborghini do you like? Red, blue, or black? Lil Wayne said, I want the black one. And that's probably what she said. He probably said, you know what, Shanae? Why, don't negotiate with them. Come on over here. How much do you need? 10 or 5 million or 1 million? I'll take the 10. I'm telling you, dog, that's how this thing is going, man. Now, the Project B plans to play an inaugural season through April of 2000. And guys, it's going from November to April. My goodness, during the off season. Guys, this is big news. Bro, I believe, this is just my theory.
Did you catch the timeline there? The inaugural season runs through April 2026. Starting in November, that's 8 months away. They're not building slowly, they're launching at full speed. And the fact that it doesn't interfere with the WNBA season, that's intentional strategy. They're not trying to force players to choose immediately. They're offering supplemental income first. Get players comfortable, get them dependent on that Saudi money. Then once the league is established and successful, you start adding exclusivity clauses. You start demanding full commitment. By then, players are already hooked on checks that are 10 times their WNBA salary. The WNBA becomes the side gig, not Project B. That's how you kill a league without firing a shot.
Instead, Project B could officially end the WNBA with one move. Sign Caitlin Clark and put exclusivity on her contract. Oh my God. I'm fascinated by the question of how much the Saudis would offer her. By example, Canelo Alvarez signed a $400 million deal. I told y'all, when it comes to your majesties, they have no budget. What do you say? Center just made $6 million for simply playing 3 exhibition games. John Raheem's Live Golf signing bonus was $400 to $600 million. Oh, come on. There's more example, and could be clear. All of the above feature. I'm telling you right now, man. This is significant because I'm not even trying to pronounce his name. Has already been reported to involve with Project B. And in addition, Shaq let it slip in the panel discussion that he and Turkey are working on the back.
Okay, so this is where the conspiracy gets real. Shaq is involved, Turkish investors are involved, Saudi royalty is involved. These aren't basketball people trying to start a league. These are global power players using basketball as a vehicle. And when you have that level of wealth and influence, the rules change completely. There's no salary cap because there's no financial constraint. There's no revenue concern because the funding isn't dependent on ticket sales or TV deals. This is sports washing with unlimited resources. And the target isn't just any player, it's specifically the players who can move the needle on global recognition. Caitlin Clark is the ultimate prize because she brings American media attention, young fan demographics, and mainstream crossover appeal. If they sign her, they legitimize the entire operation overnight.
Basketball something. My point is that I suspect the pockets of Project B are quite endless. What have I told y'all? Endless. There is no safety on this clock, baby. They is about to open the bank. Hell, bro, they could take. Bro, they so rich. They could damn near start an NFL league. The Saudis got the bag. I don't know why it's so hard for y'all. Think Caitlin Clark ain't finna do this? You're tripping. You're tripping. Somebody said, check my timeline, brother. I called it first. Clark is getting $1 billion from the U. I wouldn't say $1 billion, but hell, you never know.
Endless pockets. That's not hype, that's reality. The Saudi Public Investment Fund manages over $900 billion in assets. They bought Live Golf, they're buying into Formula One, they own multiple soccer clubs across Europe. Basketball is just the next domino. And here's what should terrify the WNBA. The Saudis don't need this to be profitable. They're not building a business model based on breaking even in year 5. They're building global influence and sports legitimacy. Losing money for a decade doesn't matter when you're playing a geopolitical game. The WNBA has to be profitable or it dies. Project B can lose money forever and still succeed at its actual mission. That's an unwinnable fight.
Now, had this been last year or the year before, do I believe Caitlin would got upwards 50 to 100 million? Yes. She definitely would have got 50 to 100 million. Right now, about 10, 20, you know.
So let's talk about what this means for Caitlin specifically, because the numbers being thrown around are getting wild. Some people are saying $1 billion. That's obviously insane. But 50 million? That's actually not crazy when you look at the precedent. Cristiano Ronaldo's Saudi deal was worth over $200 million per year. Now, Caitlin isn't Ronaldo in terms of global reach, but she's the biggest name in women's basketball, and she's American. That's the market they're trying to crack. A $50 million contract over 3 years with equity stakes and marketing deals. That's not just possible, it's probable if they're serious about making a splash. And here's the kicker. She wouldn't even have to give up her WNBA career initially. Play both leagues, double your income, then decide later which one you're fully committed to.
This you're tripping. Bro, you're tripping. Somebody said, check my timeline, brother. I called it first. Clark is getting $1 billion from the U. I wouldn't say $1 billion, but hell, you never know. You never know, bro. This thing is getting spooky. Endless Pockets, get down in the comment section.
And that's exactly the problem the WNBA is facing right now. They're not just competing with another basket league, they're competing with a sovereign wealth fund that views basketball as a strategic investment, not a profit center. The psychological warfare here is brutal. Every day the WNBA delays their CBA negotiations. Project B looks more attractive. Every time a WNBA player complains about salary or travel conditions, Project B sends a scout with a blank check. The leverage has completely flipped. And if Caitlin Clark signs, if she takes even a $10 million deal, every other star player in the WNBA immediately starts wondering why they're not getting that call. The league doesn't just lose one player, they lose the psychological battle for every negotiation going forward. So here's what happens next. Project B is going to keep signing players quietly until they have enough names to make noise. Then they'll announce a massive marketing campaign with their full roster and blow up the sports media cycle. The WNBA will try to position it as players chasing money over legacy, but that narrative falls apart when the money gap is this massive. And Caitlin, she's going to get an offer. The only question is whether it's big enough to make her risk the backlash. What do you think she does if they offer $20 million? Does the WNBA survive if she leaves?